An album I thought was actually very good, Dave, was Haim's third album, Women in Music Part 3.
That's right.
We reviewed Haim's last album, Something to Tell You, back when we were, I don't know, just starting off the podcast, just young
Audio only
podcasters.
days.
And man, gotta say, I feel like that album we felt like was a bit of a mess, not totally, not like a cohesive image or plan. And Days Are Gone, I think, was like a flash. You know, there were flashes, moments, The Wire,
Yeah.
songs that really stood out, but not like as a cohesive project. Women in Music Part 3, third album from this group, obviously, feels like them, as we talked about other artists this year, leveling up as a group, really finding a more cohesive sound that kind of consistently moves through their music, even as they kind of test out these new genres on here.
Mm-hmm.
And it also felt like the songwriting was just a lot more personal, but flowery, more metaphorical than in the past. And I found myself really digging the track to track movement on this album. How are you feeling though about Haim, Women in Music Part 3?
Yeah, I like this a lot. Yeah, that growth is pretty evident with this one. Almost there are some more poppier songs on here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean that's still pop rock, you know, but it is cool to hear them kind of branch out. And I've, you know, if you read some of the profiles and stuff around this, you'd see that the Haim sisters have maybe come to understand their place in rock a little bit better, and they are more confident in their stature and thus are more willing to do what they want, which is obviously a really cool attitude that you want more artists to be comfortable having. And I think for the most part, it manifests really well on this, and this album that flows really well. And it's not even that short, but I think it certainly earns its runtime. So I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed pretty much every track. I don't think it's a perfect album. I think there might be a skip or two on here. But I gotta say, I really liked how they kind of set the vibe, and just the album is kind of framed around Los Angeles. Start the first track, Los Angeles, this kind of like jazzy feel to it, this like saxophone, like kind of coming in with this little like doo 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 doo, and then they come back to that at the end. And the first song is really about it feels a lot like them kind of growing tired of LA, kind of trying to find where like the right place for home is for them. And then that last track almost feels like that longing to like be back in LA, and like that push and pull of like where they feel at home. I thought that was really good. And that last track, it's a bonus track, but Summer Girl actually has Lou Reed on the songwriting, because I think they really stole a lot of that sound for that song from Take a Walk on the Wild Side. The bass is, I think, is almost exactly the bass from that song. So I thought that was pretty awesome. There's also a lot of, I think, really cool moments of them trying out some sounds on here. Were there any songs that really stood out to you in terms of them trying out some new sounds for Haim?
Yeah, one more thing on Summer Girl too. There's a story in Vulture about how they invited their friend Paul Thomas Anderson over to the studio to hear a demo of that song like a year or two ago. And I thought it was cool too that they have these distinct bonus tracks at the end of the album, and those are basically all the singles or older songs that we had heard, and they were just kind of thrown on there. But there actually was like a full, more sonically robust album before those bonus tracks that everyone had already heard. So I like that touch.
Well, and PTA directed, I think, the music video for Summer Girl as well.
Yeah,
so.
which is really cool. I really like the steps. I really like 3 a.m. Don't Wanna. And then even at the end, All That Ever Mattered. I think you can find there's a lot to like dig into with this album, and I think a lot to go back to. So yeah, it's kind of interesting because you think of like the sisters, and you think of the music we get from them, and I think pretty solid guitars are consistent on in their discography. And then you have like Danielle's kind of unique vocals, I guess, you know, and that's still consistent on this. So it's still familiar music for Haim fans, but I think again, like we said, they began to branch out more, which is again really exciting because they're an act that I think people have been holding up in high esteem for some time and wanting to continue to deliver on that promise. So yeah, it's I don't see how anyone could be disappointed with this one.
Yeah. I think the last time we heard Danielle Haim's vocals was on Father of the Bride last year, prior to this album,
That's right.
and I think I can feel a lot of that. Um, a lot of that influence from Vampire Weekend. Ezra Rostam produced this album, and I think songs like I had it here in my notes. I've been down. There's like a speaking part right in the middle that
Yep.
feels
Mm-hmm.
very much like it was almost taken from a Vampire Weekend song. I was like, oh, I can hear that. Now a minute has the sad poppy feel to it that's kind of distinct from the rest of the songs. And the Pitchfork review, I think had a great call where they talked about how that could have been on Lover, from Taylor
Mm.
Swift
Yeah.
or something like
Their
that.
friend.
Yep. So they have all these different influences coming out. They kind of jump. One song I thought was really interesting from them was "All That Ever Mattered." The ending, they kind of go into this like '80s glam rock guitar solo with like these like distorted screaming like put into it, and I thought that was just a really unique song for him. And um, yeah, I just thought it was really cool to see them kind of jump through genres. I mean, The Steps is like this country rock song, right? And that I
Yep.
guess probably feels more in line with I've Got Something to Tell You, more, their second
Mm-hmm.
album, than the first one, but they seem to really be maturing. Um, you named some of the tracks. One track I just really liked, I don't know why, was Gasoline. I just found the song to be really infectious. I thought like the way that they kind of build it up around this like really groovy bass line and these like sparse drums, the guitar comes in with this like really groovy lick, and then these descending pianos around the chorus just was really well built. So I don't know. I feel like we'll be talking about this album more as the year goes on, but really exciting to see them moving forward as a band. Any last thoughts on this, though?
Just happy it came out. This was delayed at
Mm,
least once due to coronavirus. Supposed to come out earlier in the spring. I want to say middle April, and they obviously delayed it when things were more dire. And then they just kind of abruptly were like, screw it, it's coming right now. Which is cool. And I think more and more artists are seeing that you can still find that moment as large blocks of the listening public have adapted to this new reality where
yep.
traditional press is not what it is for art. I think we'll see what the numbers do with this album, but I imagine Haim is not going to be too worried about that. Obviously, they can't lead into a tour, as we know, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm happy it's out there.